everyone told me to walk away from this house. They said things like, are you crazy? Are you insane? But 6 months later, I made a nice profit, and they're all asking me what my secret is. And here it is. While you're competing with 50 other investors for the pristine houses, I bought a house with cracks and movement problems. Everyone else was either too scared or because they're too posh. You think you're being careful by avoiding the problems, the problem properties, but you're actually being reckless. Because while you're chasing the perfect deals that don't exist, by the way, properties like this are still sitting there, begging for you to make money. And if you're seeing this right now, you're probably one of the 95% of property investors doing this wrong. You've been taught to run from problems instead of profit from them. And I'm about to show you exactly why it's killing your dreams. Let me guess, you've been to those property networking events, right? Sitting in hotel conference rooms with 50 other investors, all chasing the same all money out BMV deals that vanished well over a decade ago, all getting in your own way. But here's what nobody tells you. To be successful, I mean really successful, you need to be able to spot and create value. This is because you're not competing against other beginners anymore. You're up against the big financial institutions like BlackRock and Lloyd's who are buying up as much as they can. And because of their size, they're able to buy at top-end prices or even overpay. In other words, you're bringing a calculator to a gunfight. But I want you to know something. You can win if you're able to spot and then create value. But most people get in their own way. They listen to the free advice from their mates, people at networking events, online conversations, the ones who haven't actually done anything, and most likely will never do anything at any sort of real scale either. They don't actually know how to succeed, how to spot value, how to create the value. All they know is how to buy a decent property, maybe get a 10k discount on asking. And by the way, asking prices are irrelevant. They are just what the owner wants for the property, not a true reflection of actual value. And listen, you need to stop listening to those people right now. Real opportunities with real profits are sitting on the market, and they've been sat there for weeks and months, ignored, because everyone's been brainwashed to think problems equal danger. And this is the exact type of thinking that will keep you small, or will stop you from starting in the first place. Truth is, the problems that everyone else runs away from are your biggest competitive advantage. Let me help you understand this a bit more. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened with my deal, because there are 3 specific mistakes that 95% of investors made here, and the one thing that they didn't do that I did. So I get a call from my agent. Property's been on the market for weeks. Seller's motivated, wants it sold quickly. So I booked a viewing immediately. I rock up at the property and immediately see a crack, a proper structural crack running down the side of the outside wall. Estate agent's doing that nervous laugh thing, trying to downplay it. I then asked to speak to the vendor directly, and within 5 minutes I know exactly why this deal is going to work. The vendor tells me that they've had 3 offers. One serious offer that fell through the moment the surveyor mentioned structural issues. Now, most investors would hear structural issues and they would run. But I hear something else entirely. I hear silence. I hear a market with 0 competition. And silence in property equals profit. So I do something that will sound a bit insane to most property investors, but it made me 50 grand. I sent round my structural engineer and got his report. And I did that before I even made an offer. Why? Because while everyone else is guessing and becoming afraid, I'm getting the facts, and the facts gave me power in negotiation. This might sound a bit controversial, but problems aren't problems. Problems are profits in disguise. The structural engineer's report? Best money I ever spent. Turns out it's a movement problem. The fix, underpinning, and some small cosmetic work. Most people would hear the word underpinning and they'd say, I'm out, and they'd run a mile. Not me though. I've done this before. I know the costs, I know the process, and I know the risks. And I still do it every single time that it makes sense. Because here's the genius part, and what separates amateur investors from the pros. I didn't plan the best case scenario. I planned for an absolute disaster, and I based my offer on it. I was able to prove what the actual market value was, not the asking price, minus worst case repairs, minus my contingency of 10%. The total offer was 60k under market value, and the vendor accepted immediately. Why? Because I was the only person who came in with actual facts. actual numbers and an actual plan. A plan to solve the seller's headache and to solve their worries. See, they were panicking about the movement issue too. But here's where most investors would still mess it up. They'd buy it, they'd fix it, and then they'd flip it, paying capital gains tax or corporation tax and start all over again. Not me. Let me break down what I actually did and what actually happened next, because this is where the real money was made. Work was completed in about 6 weeks, and it cost 5k less than I budgeted, so I'm already ahead. The property revalued at the full market value, plus 60k, exactly what I projected, because I don't deal in hope, I deal in data. I refinanced the property at 75% loan to value, and it got me all of my money back out, plus an extra 3 grand in my pocket. I made 3k cash profit and kept the property generating £1,000 a month in rent, with £450 a month net cash flow. That's how much money I end up with every month after all the expenses are paid for. That's not the real victory here. The real victory is that I now own an asset with no money left in, so I essentially acquired it for free and monthly cash flow. And that monthly cash flow is infinite returns on my money because there's no money left in. And the tenant, still there 18 months later. Happy because the property's now structurally sound. No voids, no hassle, no problems. Look, I need to tell you something that might be uncomfortable to hear. You're still looking for the safe deals, perfect properties, and risk-free investments. If you're doing that, you're not an investor, you're an amateur. Real investors don't avoid risk. They understand it, they price it, and then they profit from it. And while everyone else was running from this crack, I was running toward it with a calculator and an engineer's report. You want to know the secret of building a proper property portfolio? Stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a business owner. Problems aren't obstacles. They're barriers to entry that keep your competitors away. I've been doing this for years now, and I've probably evaluated well over 500 properties that other investors rejected. Not because I'm smarter than them, because I have the knowledge, systems, and the power team that they don't. And if you want to learn these systems, the psychology, the negotiation strategies, the financing structures, everything, we teach it all inside Property.School. It's not for everyone. If you're happy competing with these other 50 investors for the same overpriced properties, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to learn how to spot and profit from opportunities and create real value that everyone else is too scared to touch, links in the description, or type into any browser right now, property.school/go. Like I say, type that into any browser, property.school/go. And remember, in property investing, your competition isn't investors with more money. It's investors with better information and clearer thinking. Most people see problems. Professional investors see profit. Stop running from the cracks, start running towards them. And for those of you who are now thinking that I'm wrong, this message is for you the most. You are exactly the investors who need to follow these lessons. They're lessons from hugely successful property investors that you usually don't get access to. Not your mates down the pub or random comments on social media. Come learn what it's all about, and I'll see you inside.